Hello, I am Pramod Kumar. Today we will study English for class 12 Bihar board. Our book is Rainbow Part 2 and the poem is Now the Leaves Are Falling Fast, written by W.H. Auden. W.H. Auden was a poet, dramatist, critic, translator, editor. He was so many things in one, so many persons in one. In this poem, the poet enacts the frustration inherent in human life. So you need to remember frustration inherent in human life, right? The aspirations that are not fulfilled, unfulfilled aspirations. We aspire, but we are not able to fulfill it. And the sense of loneliness in which every individual lives and dies. The sense of loneliness. So three things you need to remember. In this poem, the poet enacts the frustration inherent in human nature. Inherent means as if it is a basic original quality of our nature. Unfulfilled aspirations. We aspire, we have the ambition, but we are not able to fulfill it. And sense of loneliness, which each one of us experience. We live our life and die along with these three things, right? Next, this poem is about nature. The poet is talking about nature. Poet sees autumn season as arrival of old age and decay. Why does he see this as arrival of old age and decay? Because it is in between summer and winter. In between summer and winter. Summer has passed, autumn has arrived, winter is yet to come, right? This poem is about nature, and the poet sees autumn as arrival of death and decay. He says that we are like travelers. We means all of us, each one of us, are like travelers who are getting old, tired, and heading towards the cemetery. Cemetery means where people are cremated or buried. The poet says we are like travelers who are undertaking our journey, and during the process of that journey we are getting old, tired, and heading towards the cemetery, burial ground or cremation ground, right? The place for cremation. So we start the poem. It starts like this. Now the leaves are falling fast. Nurse's flowers will not last. Nurses to the graves are gone, and the prams go rolling on. The poet says, now the leaves are falling fast. During autumn season, trees shed their leaves. So leaves are falling very fast. It suggests arrival of death and decay of people also. It suggests, right? Now the leaves are falling fast means the rate of death of people has increased. Nurse's flowers will not last. Nurse's flowers, nurse is a tree, and near the root of this tree, a small plants come up. They are called nurse's flowers, a small flowers, flower plants. Nurse's flowers will not last. A small plants, flowery plants will not last because autumn season has arrived, which is an indicator of decay and death. So nurse's flowers also will meet decay and death. Nurses to the graves are gone. Nurses means, nurse is a kind of a tree. They have already gone to their graves, and the prams go rolling on. Prams means, pram means a four-wheeled carriage for a child, a small child, right? It's a four-wheeled carriage for a small carriage for a child, prams. So on the one hand, the poet says, now the leaves are falling fast, nurse's flowers will not last, nurses to the graves are gone. All these things he is indicating decay and death. But in this line he says, and the prams go rolling on. And prams, four-wheeler, a small carriages for a small children, are going on. So, on the one hand, death is there, on the other, life is there. A small children means life, right? On the one hand, he is talking of death, other hand, he is talking of life, reflected in going prams, in which a small kids are there, right? Whispering neighbors left and right, pluck us from the real delight. So, who are the whispering neighbors? Whispering neighbors. They are the agents of death, right? Whispering neighbors suggests agents of death. Whispering neighbors left and right, pluck us from the real delight. We are enjoying our life, we are in real delight, but we are plucked, we are separated from that real delight by agents of death. We are taken away from life into death by the agents of death suggested by whispering neighbors. And the active hands must freeze, lonely on the separate knees. And once people are dead, their active hands must freeze. When a person dies, his limbs are almost frozen. They become lifeless and frozen. Lonely on the separate knees. When people are put in the coffin, they are put like this. Their hands are like this. They lie flat on their back and their hands are on their knees. So it says, and the active hands must freeze. Active hands, which was there active in our lifetime, it must freeze on death, lonely on the separate knees, and it lies like this in the coffin. Dead in hundreds at the back, follow wooden in our track. So, what is the poet saying here? He is saying, he sees hundreds of coffins, wooden coffins, in which dead people are being carried to the cemetery for burial. Dead in hundreds at the back, and the number of those dead people is in hundreds, sainkado hai wo. Dead in hundreds at the back, follow wooden in our track. We are traveling in our journey. When we turn back, we see that hundreds of people, dead people, are being carried in wooden coffins. Arms rigid stiffly to reprove in false attitudes of love. And the poet finds deception in love. It's not true love. It's not true love. There is deception in love. Though people show to each other that they are loving, they are in love, but in false attitudes of love. Their attitude towards love is false. There is deception in their expression of love. It is not true love. Starving through the leafless wood, trolls run scolding for their food. Trolls are wicked and ugly creatures. They are running around in the forest which is leafless because the trees have shed their leaves. So the forest is there, but the trees don't have any leaves. Starving through the leafless wood, trolls run scolding for their food. Trolls are running from here to there in search of food in the leafless trees, and they are finding it difficult to. So it shows the condition of starvation, helplessness, भूखमरी और बेचारगी की स्थिति है, right? People are hungry, but they are finding it difficult to get food. They are starving. And the nightingale is dumb, and the angel will not come. At all these scenes of starvation and helplessness, even nightingale is dumb. It's not singing. It's just sitting in the tree silent, dumb. And the angel will not come. Angel means, what is angel? Messenger of God. So the poet says, even the messengers of God will not come to save us from this position of starvation, decay and death. We will have to have it, we will have to face it. Cold, impossible ahead, lists the mountain's lovely head. Since we are in the journey, ahead we see the head of the mountain. We can see mountain from a long distance. So we are seeing we are on a journey, we see at long distance that there is mountain head. First we see the head of the mountain. Cold, impossible ahead. It's very cold and very impossible. Impossible means very difficult and very cold. Ahead, the way ahead is very tough. Cold, impossible ahead, list the mountain's lovely head, mountain's lovely head we can see from distance, which white waterfall could bless travelers in their last distress. Despite being so cold, so hostile, so unfriendly, despite being so cold, so hostile, so unfriendly, the waterfalls of these mountains could bless travelers in their last distress. Last distress means near death position. So, when during the journey of our life we are towards the last distress, then we may be blessed by white waterfalls of the mountains that we are able to see from long distance. So though the season is very cold, very hostile, very unfriendly, even then towards the end of our journey, when we are under last distress, we could get some blessings from the fountains of the mountain that we are seeing from a distance in our journey, right? So this is the poem all about. We'll take 2 minutes and Close it. W.H. Auden was a poet, dramatist, critic, translator, and editor. He was so many persons in one. In this poem, he enacts the frustrations inherent in human nature, as if those frustrations are original part of our nature, basic to our nature, right? The aspirations which remain unfulfilled during our lifetime. We have many aspirations and several of them don't get fulfilled. Unfulfilled aspirations, right? And the sense of loneliness in which every individual or all of us live and also die eventually, right? This poem is about nature, because you would have seen the poet is talking about leaves, falling leaves, nurses flowers, and leafless wood, nightingale he is mentioning, mountain, beautiful mountain he is mentioning, mountain head which we are able to see from distance. This poem is about nature. Poet sees autumn as arrival of old age and death, right? Because after autumn we are going to get winter and summer is just gone by. He says that we are like travelers on a journey who are getting old, tired, and heading towards the cemetery, our cemetery, because ultimately, eventually, each one of us has to die, right? When leaves fall, the forest becomes lifeless. Leaves are the life of a tree. When trees shed their leaves, they look lifeless. When leaves fall, the forest becomes lifeless. Nightingale also becomes dumb when she sees all these things. Trees have shed leaves. It's very cold, very hostile, very unfriendly weather. And in the same way, a man is burdened with his unfulfilled aspirations, wishes, ambitions, desires. And gradually, a man becomes physically weak, inactive, and finally leaves this world on death, right? But poet shows an optimistic view that when we come to the end of our life, we hear the sweet sound of springs, the waterfalls that he had mentioned from the mountains, right? Thus we see that in this poem, the poet is putting up a mixture of optimism as well as pessimism. Both are mixed. Where do we find pessimism? Leaves are falling fast, means humans are losing their lives very fast. Nurses' flowers will not last. Nurses to the graves are gone. Nurses trees, they have already gone to the grave. And optimism, and the prams go rolling on. The cycle of life goes on, which is reflected in the small children in prams, right? And pessimism, whispering neighbors left and right, pluck us from the real delight. And the active hands must freeze lonely on the separate niche, right? And in that, dead in hundreds at the back, follow wooden in our track. Pessimism. Arms rigid stiffly to reprove in false attitudes of love. Pessimism. Starving through the leafless wood, trolls run scolding for their food. Starvation. Pessimism. And the nightingale is dumb and the angel will not come. Pessimism. Cold, impossible ahead, list the mountain's lovely head. Cold, impossible. Pessimism. Very cold, deathly. List the mountain's lovely head. Optimism. whose white waterfall could bless travelers in their last distress. Optimism. So it is a peculiar mixture of optimism and pessimism, this poem. I hope you found it easy to understand. In case of any difficulty, please do approach me on my email ID, which will be there at the thumbnail to the video. Thank you.